The Commonwealth of Massachusetts versus Karen Reed. She is accused of killing her boyfriend, Officer John O'Keefe, with her vehicle. The state did not originally charge this as a volitional or intentional homicide. This was originally charged as an accident. This morning, we are getting into opening statements. They have moved this to a much smaller courtroom within the courthouse, and that's going to be very interesting to see. Law nerds, we're back for trial.
Bring the jury.
Opening statements have concluded in the Karen Reed trial. I found the Commonwealth's opening statement to be a bit hard to follow. They got very into the weeds of who was where and what. They jumped around in time quite a lot between the night of the murder, a trip to Aruba earlier in January over New Year's, back to the morning that the victim was found, back to when people were at the bar. And it was incredibly difficult to follow. Even when they pointed out statements made by the defendant, they weren't punctuated. The statements by the defendant saying to EMS, I hit him, asking others, could I have hit him? Did he get hit by a snowplow? None of those were well punctuated and were hard to follow. The defense opening statement started with Karen Reed was framed and then laid out with some argument, but wasn't objected to, their theory of the case, including details about this case that were shocking to me, including the fact that they have the lead investigator's personal cell phone. Well, at the very beginning of this investigation, they state that the evidence will show that the lead investigator was texting his friends from high school about this investigation. And they say that the texts from the lead investigator, Trooper Proctor's phone, will show that somebody said, well, the homeowner is going to catch some heat. And the lead investigator's response to that was, nope. They also talk about the fact that the house party where the victim had been was a house owned by a cop. There were a bunch of cops at the party. And when they learned that there was a fellow officer out in the snow in the morning, those from inside the house didn't go outside. Didn't go outside, didn't go to help. They're all trained in EMS. They're all first responders. Didn't go outside the house to help. They also argue that if the state's theory of the case is true, and if Karen Reed had struck Officer O'Keefe and left him in the snow, everyone leaving the home would have seen a 6'2" dude sprawled out on the lawn. And the state said you will hear under the victim's body was his cell phone and grass. They never said that his cell phone showed he didn't go into the house, but they said under his body was grass and the cell phone, showing that the state, the Commonwealth, believes that when Officer O'Keefe was struck, it was before there was a lot of snow. Well, the defense is saying, well, if that's true, how did everyone leave the house and not see anyone? And the snowplow driver didn't see anyone. Nobody saw anybody. How can that be? How can that timing line up? More stunningly, a detail I had never seen about this case is they say that the lead investigator was going through the defendant Karen Reed's phone without a search warrant, looking for nudes of the defendant. Are you fucking kidding me? That's the lead investigator they're going to put up on the stand to talk about this case? That is going to be a interesting cross-examination, because are you kidding me? I mean, maybe it's a little more clear now why there's a internal affairs investigation into the lead investigator, which isn't going to come up during this trial. But are you kidding? Are you kidding me? The defense did an excellent job of highlighting the fury. The defense did an excellent job of asking the jury to wait. They said, wait for us. Wait for our evidence. The state is going to go first, but wait for the defense case, and asked everyone to keep an open mind. We are at the end of day one of evidence of the Karen Reed trial. The prosecution called the victim, Officer John O'Keefe's brother and sister-in-law, to the stand to talk about statements made by Karen Reed, text messages between Karen Reed to the incident in Aruba where Karen Reed texted her, I can't say sister-in-law, they weren't married, but essentially her sister-in-law, her boyfriend's brother's wife. I mean, we're going with the colloquial sister-in-law, to say that she had seen victim O'Keefe kissing someone in Aruba, the sister of a friend that was there. We didn't get much more detail. The prosecution kind of zoomed over it really quickly, but that there was also text indicating, hey, from Karen Reed, the defendant, to the sister-in-law, hey, if John and I ever break up, I hope we stay friends. And another text saying something to the effect of, today's another day. I wish I had never spoken to an O'Keefe after 2004. But also the sister-in-law, Erica's testimony was, they had normal arguments that, people who have dealing with kids and this and this and that have. It was just kind of normal stuff that they would argue over and nothing more than that. But it seemed that Karen Reed was very close with the family and then had said to her sister-in-law, I'll probably never see you guys again. And that was kind of her last conversation with her sister-in-law after Karen Reed left John O'Keefe's home the afternoon after he was found dead at the scene. And that's a very interesting tidbit that they had a phone call on speaker. Karen Reed was in the car with her dad and is like, I'll probably never see you guys again. Very interesting testimony about the conversations with the defendant. They also called the first responding officer on scene. He's still on the stand, just finished his direct examination. We saw some of his dash cam video showing what he called blizzard conditions, showing them arriving at the scene, showing Karen Reed seeming to me to be frantic. You could hear her wailing from the dash cam. That's not body cam. That's from inside the police vehicle. And due to the weather, it seems that the windows were still up on that vehicle. And you could see her moving around in front of the car, seeming to be distraught. The cross-examination of that witness will begin tomorrow morning as we resume for day two. And with all of that, law nerds, it is time to roll. For deep dives into the stories that I covered here, you can find them on my YouTube channel at The Emily D. Baker and The Emily Show podcast. I stream every Tuesday and Thursday. The podcast goes live on Wednesdays. And if you want to stay in the loop with everything I'm doing, receive the fastest notifications out there, and get more Law Nerd community, join me at lawnerdapp.com, our free app for iOS and Android.